Today, we are going to be going over invoicing and inventory management for your small business. And the people that will be giving this workshop are myself. I'm Dominique Binns. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO here at Fizzin. And on that other screen over there is Callan, one of our fantastic account managers. Okay, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, I'm Callan, as Dom said, account manager here at Fizzin, and yeah, super excited to be hosting this webinar.
Yay! Okay, so let's get cracking into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to cover today. So we're going to be going over inventory management. What is it? Why is it helpful to you as a small business owner? This part of the webinar or the workshop is going to particularly focus on you business owners out there that are product businesses. This doesn't so much entail your business if you're a service business. Then we're going to be touching on invoicing, how important it is to have an invoicing system up and running. And this is pertinent to you whether you have a product or a service business. And then we're going to go into the super exciting part of our workshop where we're going to touch on this fully kitted out, awesome spreadsheet template that Callan's put together for you guys. And she's going to go through how you can track your inventory and your invoicing using this free template that we are going to send you after this workshop. And that's also going to be available on our website under free resources. So let's get started. Let's touch on inventory management. What is it? Why is it going to help your business, specifically if you're a product business? So inventory management is all about having the right products available when you need them. If you don't manage your business's inventory strategically, you are going to lose out on business and profit if your items are out of stock. You're also going to lose money because you have excess stock on hand if you do. So managing your inventory is all about having the right products at the right place, at the right time, and in the right quantity. Good inventory management means that you've set up a system that will help you track in real time how many goods you have on hand and how many goods are flying out the door, and what's the ratio of that situation. If you're a small business owner running a product business out of your own home, you may be thinking, okay, well, I can keep track of my own inventory and my own products just by counting the boxes or the products that are sitting in my room or in my garage. It's not like you have a million products lying around. So what's the problem? Why can't you just do that? Even if you have a very small amount of product on hand, you could very easily get confused by the amount you have. You could get confused by how much you spent on that amount of product versus how much you're charging your clients and your customers for that product. So just having a system allows you to avoid this confusion and understand monetarily and just have the data on hand to understand how your business is flowing and whether or not you're making a profit or if you're breaking even or if you're making a loss. If you're selling perishable goods like food or makeup or anything like that, it's also important to follow the first in, first out approach, which you can't do if you're just sort of winging it. You do need to have a system in place. And this first in, first out approach just means that you sell the goods with the closest sell by date or use by date first before you sell the other stuff. So if you're just randomly sort of sending your customers the random products that are sitting in your bedroom or your garage, you might not be following this first in, first out approach, and you may run into trouble with expiry dates. Managing your inventory correctly will also help you to identify low turn stock. So you may have never heard this term before and maybe asking what the heck is that, but basically it's just stock that you haven't sold in about 12 months. You may consider stopping offering that particular product if you see that it's just not moving, nobody's interested in it, it's not selling. And you may also have to think of clever ways to sell this product and get it off your hands, like running a sale or a campaign or a discount around these particular products. All in all, keeping an eye on your inventory is just good business sense, and it's going to help you to continue to operate, which is obviously the aim of any business, and it's going to help you to operate under your industry's best practices, which is key if you want to be successful in your industry and be competitive. Okay, great. So we've talked about inventory management. Now let's talk about invoice management. An invoice, if you've never heard of what that is basically just proof that a certain amount of products or services or hours of service has been sold in exchange for a certain amount of money. Invoices also help you as the business owner keep track of your cash flow on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. In order to keep your invoicing neat and tidy, it's also recommended that you keep an up-to-date contact list of everyone who purchases from you. So you should keep an itemized list of your clients' names, their business names, if it's applicable, if you're selling directly B2B, not B2C. You should keep a list of their contact details, so their email, their phone numbers. This might help you down the line if there are any exchanges that need to occur, or if you're constantly invoicing the same person. If you have all this data on hand, it'll make your life easier down the road. If you want your invoicing to run super smoothly and you're still looking to keep it free because you may not have the cash to pay for a fully automated accounting system, creating a template on Word or on Canva or on Excel can help you manage your invoicing and keep track of it on a day-to-day and a week-to-week and a month-to-month basis, which is what we're going to show you later, so stay tuned. Managing your invoices also helps you to understand how slow your customers are to pay their payments and their debt. As a general rule, try to make sure that your client or your customer pays for the product or the service before you send them the product or before you complete the service. Invoicing also allows you to have data on hand that helps you to understand if your customers pay later than you would like. So this is not the same as my previous point, because we're not so much focusing now on are your customers paying at all? We're focusing on, okay, they're paying, but they might be paying later than the 7 days that you asked for. If this is hurting your small business's cash flow, which it probably is, that's the number one issue with small businesses is your cash flow, you may need to consider implementing a penalty fee for late payments, or implementing some sort of interest fee system where the later they are, the more interest on the final payment there is. For service businesses, another tip we'd recommend is implementing a system where a deposit is required before you complete the service. This is going to help you avoid a situation where you've completed whatever it is that they've asked you to do, and you hand over the final product, whether that's, you know, like at Fizzin, a website or something digital, or perhaps it's a haircut or something like that. And then this helps you to make sure that your clients don't just walk out the door and not pay you. So enabling them to pay a deposit before you get started is a good idea, and helps create the expectation between the two of you and your business relationship. Okay, great. So in order to make all of what we've talked about, from the invoicing to the inventory management, easier, you get tons of options out there that you need to pay for, so paid tools. These tools are often fully integrated accounting systems and software. And what that means is each month you pay a recurring amount and you get access to inventory and invoice management tools and a heck of a lot more. We recommend things like Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, or Zoho. They're all super duper user-friendly. They're not overly sort of financially orientated. You don't have to have an accounting degree to use them. They're geared towards small business owners and using them for your day-to-day needs. But not all of you may be in the position to pay for accounting software. So you may be asking, what do I do if I can't pay for something like Xero or Sage? Well, that's where we come in with our awesome spreadsheet template that Cullen's put together. So she's going to take you through this kitted out, fully awesome, fully automated system that we've put together. It has all of the equations and formulas in it. We're going to send it to you after this webinar. You can also download it on our website under free resources. She's going to take you through how to use it, how it cross sections, and how data jumps to different sections and different tabs in the sheet. And she's basically just going to explain to you how you can, for free, track your inventory and track your invoice management. So over to Cullen, who's going to take us through building and using our template that we've put together for you.
Great, thanks, Dom. Yeah, super exciting. I can't wait. It's a lot to take in at first, but the video is going to be on YouTube, and you can just rewatch it as many times as you need to until you get the hang of it. Cool. So this is Excel. Majority of people are familiar with Excel. If not, this can be built in Google Sheets as well, because they follow pretty much the same formula basis. Great. So if we look at the bottom here, you can see there's 4 specific tabs that I've sort of created. So we have our product info, our inventory, product orders, and invoice summary. So each of these tabs fulfill a different purpose, but they all interlink, and formulas are pulled from each of these tabs to ultimately help us track as much of our business inventory and invoices as possible. So we'll start with product info. So it's pretty simple. This little tab document is just your basic information on your product. So what your products are that you sell, what is your cost price of that product, how much does it cost you as the company to create that product or source that product, then what is your markup on that product. So you could follow a same markup systems throughout all of your products, or perhaps some of your products have different markups. I've just gone ahead and made the markup for all of these 60%. And then we have our selling price. So this is just a simple formula of your markup times your cost price, and then added your cost price. And this gives you what you sell your product for to other people. And then, of course, your profit, which is another simple formula. It is just your selling price minus your cost price gives you how much profit you have made on each unit that is sold. Cool, so that's pretty basic, and that is your product info. We'll go through building everything after I've explained it all. So the next tab we have is our inventory tab. So this is to track all of your inventory for all of your products. As you can see here, we are using a little bakery as our example business. So the products our little bakery stocks is biscuits, single tier cakes, double tier cakes, and cupcakes. Cool, so now to track our inventory, we have our starting stock. I've only put it up to July. But yeah, so we have our starting stock for January, which is 110 double tier cakes and 50 cupcakes. Then we've put in another section for additional stock ordered. So this is pretty much if throughout the month you realize that you need more biscuits, or maybe you just restocked up on your single tier cakes, or maybe you just felt you wanted to bring in some more cupcakes. So we have our additional stock ordered throughout the month, and then we have stock sold. So stock sold is a sum ifs formula, and we covered sum ifs formula in our previous webinar, which you can find in YouTube, and it pretty much pulls the information from your product orders document. So every single time you list a new invoice or a new product that has been sold, it will automatically subtract it from your stock sold section. So this section is constantly up to date with the amount of stock that is being sold on a daily basis and the amount of invoices you're putting out. Then the remaining stock is another formula that automatically pulls through your starting stock plus your additional stock minus your stock sold, and that tells you how much stock you have at the end of each month. I've put in a simple little, it's not so much a formula, it's a setting that you put in to pretty much just tell you, okay, if it goes below a certain amount, then it's going to highlight red. That means that I'm low on stock. And then at the beginning of each following month, there is a simple formula that just pretty much pulls through the remaining stock from the previous month, and that gives you your starting stock for the next month. So you know, okay, you ended off January with 104 biscuits left over, so you have 104 biscuits to start off with in February, and then you can decide, do you need to order additional stock, or are you okay to carry on the rest of the month without ordering any additional stock? So that is our inventory tracker. Then we move over to the product orders. So this is a table that pretty much summarizes all of your product orders that come through. So we have our invoice number, we have an order month, those two are both pretty self-explanatory, as well as order date. Then we have the product ordered. So this is put into a simple data validation and allows you to choose from a drop-down instead of typing it out every single time, which can get a bit tedious, especially if you are getting multiple orders in a day. Having as many things automated as possible just makes it so much simpler, and it makes you more inclined to fill in your trackers because it's a lot easier. Then we have our quantity of that product ordered, customer details, and total amount. So this total amount is a pretty intense formula, which we'll cover later. It's the IFS formula. So it is pretty much saying if our product ordered is a cupcake, then it's going to take that total amount per each cupcake, which was pulled from our product info sheet. So what is the selling price times the amount ordered? And that will give you your total amount for your invoice. So once again, automation is key. So we can see here, because Mary ordered 15 cupcakes, it automatically calculates, okay, it's cupcakes, she ordered 15, our selling price is 24 per cupcake. So it's automatically going to give us a total amount of 360 Rand. And the same formula is used for gross profit. Once again, it is just taking and saying, if this column says cupcakes or if this column says biscuits, then it is going to take the quantity of that product that was ordered and times it by our profit amounts, which for cupcakes is 9 Rand, and it's going to give us a total. And lastly, on our product orders, we have the status. So this once again is another data validation drop-down tool, and you can pretty much, you put in whether that invoice has been paid, complete, to be shipped, pending payment, or perhaps it's overdue. This just helps you keep track of all your statuses, and you can then go ahead, put in a filter, and you can now sort by which of our invoices are still pending payments. We can see there's 2. Susan and Mary still need to pay their invoice. Clear that. Great, so that's product orders, the overview of there. And then lastly, in the last tab, we have the invoice summary. So this invoice summary is taking the basics of the information that we need from the product orders and putting it in a summary. So unfortunately, because of the formulas we have used in column H and I, you can only input 1 row per product at a time. So you can't, if somebody orders cupcakes, so if we look here, row 5 and 6, Henry ordered a single tier cake and biscuits. So we aren't able to put that into the same row. So we had to create 2 separate rows for Henry's order. And as long as your invoice number remains the same, you simply use that information to give yourself a summary, and then you see invoice number 4. It automatically has another sum if formula that automatically adds up every single total for that invoice number. So if we had 4 different line items for invoice number 8, our formula would then take every single total from every line item for invoice 8 and add it together to give us one total amount. And this way we can just briefly glance over, have a brief overview of how much each person was invoiced for, instead of looking at our product orders and seeing, okay, line item 4, line item 4, 5, maybe there was 6 line items for invoice number 7. That's when it starts getting a little bit tricky. So having a summary of your total amounts makes it a lot easier to work with. Great, so that is the overview of everything, and now we are going to build them all. The fun part. Cool, we'll start with product info. So we need a new tab, and we'll see, okay, the first thing we want to start with is our headers. So we obviously need a product header. We need cost price and markup. And then we have selling price and profit. You can add as many product descriptions in as you would like. But these are the basics that we're working with for most of our formulas. Okay, so let's give that a pretty little color. Let's make it blue. Okay, so product. First of all, we need to now put in our product. So let's go with the same theme of our little bakery, and we will put in something new. So let's go ahead and put in cake pops are cool. We can have ice cream cakes. We can put in maybe we do dog biscuits, and we can put in, oh, we'll just leave it at 3. Okay, so these are our 3 products. Now we've got to put in our cost price for each product. So how much does each product cost us to make? So let's say the cake pops cost us 5 Rand to make. Ice cream cakes are 100 Rand to make, and dog biscuits cost us 10 Rand. Let's work with some nice round numbers. Okay, markup. So markup, let's go with an all-round same markup for every item, and let's make that 45%. So we have a 45% markup for all our products. So our selling price will then be a formula of our cost price times our markup plus the cost price. And we'll just drag that formula down, and there we have our selling price for all of our products. So our cake pops that we produce at 5 Rand with a 45% markup, we are now selling at 7 Rand and 25 cents. Feel sorry for whoever is carrying around having to dish out the change, but 7 Rand and 25 cents. And then we'll just work out our profit with a simple formula of the selling price minus the cost price. And once again, drag that formula down. So now we have built our simple product info sheet. Obviously, if you have more products, you can go ahead and just keep adding on. If you have less products, no problem. Now we will be building our inventory tracker. So once again, we start with headings. So starting stock, and we need the dates. So let's just do the 2 dates to keep it short and sweet. January, February. And let's give that a pretty color. So now we'll go back to our product info sheets, and we can just copy these in. Oh, hold on. Oh. Products. I'm not mistaken. Starting stock. Here we go. Never mind. Okay, starting stock, and then we have additional stock bought, additional stock ordered. Okay. And then once again, we can just copy and paste this in. And then we have stock sold. Copy and paste those in. And remaining stock. Cool. We'll just add in our, make it a little bit less confusing. Here we go. So we'll just briefly fill this in. We won't be able to calculate stock sold and remaining stock until we've built our product orders documents, because like I said, formulas are interlinked everywhere, and those formulas are pulled from your product order sheet. So we'll fill in the first part of this and then come back afterwards. So let's just say starting stock for cake pops, we start off with 50 in January. Ice cream cakes, we have 5, and dog biscuits, we do 150. Additional stock ordered, we will leave at 0 because it's start of January. And then once again, these are formulas, which we will input later. Great, so we've done our basics for our inventory sheets, and now let's move on to product orders. This is where it gets fun. So we'll add in our new document and we'll fill in. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste the headers just to save some time. Let's make it blue. Oh, too wide. Great, so we have our headers. The next easiest place to start is to put in your data validation. So that is your drop down to tell you, okay, these are the products I can choose from. So that you will put into product ordered. You just highlight the row, control there, and you'll go to data. This little ticky and a little cross over there is data validation. And you'll change this to list. And we had cake pops. We had ice cream cakes. And we had dog biscuits. Okay, so the one thing for this is that you should always make sure that your spelling of your data validation tool matches the spelling in your inventory documents exactly. Because if it doesn't, then formulas are going to get a bit confused and things are going to be coming up as blank, and you're going to miss a few things. Your orders, your invoices are all going to come out wrong. So always, always, always make sure that your spelling of your stock listed here exactly matches the spelling of your drop downs, which it looks like they match to me. Cool, so that's the first drop down. The second drop down is your status drop down column. So we'll just go back and we will go the exact same process, data validation, change this to a list and source. So let's keep it really simple. Let's just say paid, pending payments, and complete. Great. So now we have a drop down there and we have a drop down there. Perfect. Okay, then the next thing we want to obviously do is fill in our formulas for the total amount and the gross profit. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated with the ifs formula. So like I explained earlier, the ifs formula is pretty much going to drag information from our product info sheet to tell us exactly how much that total order is going to be and exactly how much gross profit we make on that total order. So we're just going to type it in. We'll say, I'm going to go through this really slowly because it is a lot. So equals ifs. So the reason we do the ifs and not the if is because there's more than one. So the same thing comes in with the sum if and the sum ifs formula is if there's only one product. So if we only had one product that we were doing, then that if formula would work. But because it's an ifs, we're saying, okay, well, if it says dog biscuits, it needs to be this. But if it says cake pops, it needs to be this. So that's the reason why we use the ifs formula. So we'll just double click there. Okay, so logical test 1. Very hard to explain, not going to explain it. So logical test 1 is pretty much going to be, that is your, so it's saying ifs, if column D2 is equal to, we go back to our product info sheet. If that is equal to cake pops, comma, value if true, we're going to say the selling price needs to be timesed by the quantity. Now, because there's more than one product, we have to keep going with the formula. So we'll put another comma in, logical test 2. So that's pretty much saying if D2 is now equal to ice cream cakes, then the selling price of 145, hold on, something's gone wrong somewhere. Okay, we'll go back and redo this. I just realized I didn't times it. So we're going to say equals ifs. Okay, logical test 1. If B2 is equal to cake pops, then it needs to be selling price times quantity. There we go. Then if D2 is equal to ice cream cakes, it needs to be selling price times quantity. Then lastly, if D2 is equal to dog biscuits, then it needs to be selling price of 14 rand 50 times the quantity. So that's our formula, and it's going to say NA because there is no information filled into these things yet. So now we're going to do that exact same formula over here with the gross profit. So I'm just going to do it quickly. Equals ifs. So if D2 is equal to cake pops, then you'll take your gross profit times your quantity. Then if D2 is equal to ice cream cakes, gross profit times quantity. It's pretty much just a repeat of the formula, just obviously making sure that each equals is a different product. Equals dog biscuits, gross product times, sheet 3, quantity. And once again, the NA is there because there is no information filled in. So now we're going to go ahead and fill in our information with some random information. So invoice number 1, order month is January. Order date is, let's just say it's the 1st of January. Product ordered was 1 ice cream cake. You can see how that automatically shifted now that there was a product there. Now, because there's a product, it's waiting for you to fill in the quantity. And once you fill in the quantity, it will automatically give you your amount. So the total amount for your ice cream cake is 145 and profit of 45. So once again, automation is key. The more you can automate your trackers, the better. So all we did was fill in what that person ordered, and it automatically told us exactly how much we need to invoice that person and exactly how much profit we are getting out of that order. So this person's name is Bob, and they live on 1 Sunshine Avenue. And the status of this is pending payment. Cool, so that is the product orders sheet. Now we will just go to invoice summary and quickly throw one of those together. So once again, I'm just going to copy the headings, and we'll just paste them in there. Make sure our columns are readable. Okay, so invoice number, unfortunately, we are going to have to input that ourselves, and the month you also need to input yourself. But the total amount is where you use your sum ifs formula. So you'll go, sorry, no, it's just sum if. Just the one, because we're only using the invoice number. So sum if. So your range of your sum if is now your invoice number. So you go back to your product orders and you're going to say invoice number 1. That's our range. So our criteria, what are we looking for out of those? We're looking for invoice number 1. Then sum range, sum is numbers, so we want the total amount. And we'll just click enter and it automatically will give us that total amount. Great. Okay, so that is that. And now we'll go back, now that all of that's sorted out, we'll go back to our inventory document and complete it. So this is where we use the sum ifs formula because there's more than one category that we're choosing from. Excel is very complicated and you have to specify everything. So stock sold is going to be pulled from our product order sheet of column E, the quantity. So we'll go back here, we'll do our sum ifs formula equals sum ifs. So our sum range is different to the sum if, where the sum range is at the end. Now for sum ifs, it's in the front. So once again, sum is numbers. So we want the one with numbers in it, which is our quantity column. Then criteria range 1. So criteria range is referring to more than one object. It's a range. So that is going to be the month. So we'll go back here and our criteria range is column B. Then our criteria 1, so out of that whole range of column B, what exactly are we looking for? We're looking for January. Awesome. Cool. Then we'll move on to step 2, criteria range 2. So this is when we take the product. So we will go back to product orders and our range is now product ordered. Then, so this is when your spelling comes in because now we are telling Excel to say, if it says ice cream cakes, then it needs to go here, or it needs to be inputted there. But if it says cake pops, it needs to be there. So that is criteria 2, and we'll just click enter. And then we want to lock B. So we want to lock it on January, because if we don't lock it and we drag down this little, let me double click. So this little thingy over here, this blue block is then also going to be dragged down. So we need to look for B1 right there, and we are going to click function F4, and we're going to lock B1 in place. We do want A10 to go down because we want it to change from cake pops to ice cream cakes to dog biscuits. So we want that to be dragged down, but we want it to stay on January so that it is always referring back to January. So we'll just click enter. And now we can drag it down and we can see we sold 1 ice cream cake in January. Then remaining stock, pretty simple formula, is equals to your starting stock plus any additional stock that was bought minus any stock that was sold. Ooh. Enter. And for this one, you can just drag it down because there is nothing that needs to be in a set place. So we can see we're down to 4 ice cream cakes instead of 5 because we sold 1 in January. Then February is going to be simple. It's not even a formula, it's just a reference. So you're going to say the starting stock in February for cake pops needs to equal to the remaining stock of cake pops from January, and enter. And then you can just drag that one straight down, and then you have your starting stock. And now every time you fill in a new line, it will automatically subtract it from stock sold, which would automatically update your remaining stock, and then automatically update your start stock for the following month, allowing you to know exactly where you are at the beginning of each month as well as the end of each month. Because obviously, if it gets to the end of the month, whatever you haven't sold is carried over. Unless, of course, you have to throw it away, or as Dom mentioned, perhaps you're working with expiry dates, then you could go ahead and input another section for stock thrown out or expired stock, and you could automatically input that in. So if 5 of your cake pops expired and you now need to throw them out, you just input that 5 into the expired stock section, and it will automatically subtract it from your remaining stock, and then thus automatically subtracting it from your starting stock for the following month. But we won't go into that right now. There's lots you can do on Excel, especially for tracking and invoicing, but this is pretty much the basics of everything that you sort of need to get your stock-based company on track, and so you can know where everything is when you need it. So that brings us to the end of our little Excel live demonstration.